welcome to Public Opinion Millennial Edition with your host, Pam Morton. My co-host, Vanetta, is on vacation this week, so I have a very special guest host, Taylor Morton, my Millennial Edition guest host. And welcome, Taylor Morton. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing good.
Wonderful. How are things in Hollywood, California?
Things are good. Things are going well.
That's good. How are people behaving out there with COVID?
They lifted some of our restrictions, so there's more to do, but we still are heavily restricted with activities and things like that. So,
Okay. Well, that's good. Hopefully everybody is behaving and that we can get back to normal as soon as possible, and that people will just, do what they have to do so that further restrictions can be lifted.
oh yes, absolutely.
Well, I have a little secret. The Millennial Edition is one of my favorite episodes to do because I love talking to the young people. I love getting your opinions about things because you all have so much insight into things, and I always go away learning something. And so I'm hoping that I will feel the same way this week. And I'm excited to hear what the answers are and the opinions about the public opinion question this week. So let's get started and meet our participants for this week. And please remember, if you like this show, please hit the like and subscribe button always, because I think that we have a lot of good information to give and we have a lot of good dialogue. So let's meet our participants for this week. First, we have Taylor Parker. And Taylor is a legal services clerk. And then we have Nicole Wilson. Nicole is an assistant vice president at Treasury Management. And finally, we have Taylor Smith. And Taylor is a marketing manager. So let's welcome our participants. Thank you all so much for agreeing to be participants this week on the Millennial Edition of Public Opinion. And I'm excited to hear what your responses are in response to the public opinion question of the week. So we're going to get started and see what the question is. Are performers such as Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion exotic or erotic, meaning X-rated? So we're going to get started and let Taylor Parker answer that question first. And Taylor, you have 2 minutes to answer, and you can go ahead and answer right now.
Okay, so from a millennial, almost going into like a Generation Z standpoint, I'm going to go ahead and say maybe more so along the exotic side, more so than erotic standpoint. The reason why I would say that is because I think a lot of baby boomers and a lot of males may think so more that it's erotic. And I think the standpoint coming from that is it's almost kind of like unacceptable for you to express yourself as a woman, your body parts. Like, it's almost like, oh, how dare you do that? But it's like a man says what he likes about me in his songs. And I could name several songs and go on days and days for examples about them. But it's almost like I'm kind of, for example, their song that they did a collaboration together, WAP. Those who are familiar with that song, it's almost kind of like I'm telling you what you like and expressing, how fantastic it is. And it's almost like, oh, no, don't, we didn't mean it like that. But it's like, why not? Because when you're talking about it, you weren't talking about how great my elbows and my knees were. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, well, we're talking about the same thing here, but when I do it, it's an issue. When you do it, it's fine. And men have to basically do the bare minimum for them to get their hits and top rated songs. So a lot of men may find it so more older generations as erotic, but we also have to look at Cardi B's background. Cardi B is an exotic dancer, so it's almost kind of like, what else would you expect her to do? In a way, not saying that Cardi B should just only do what she is known for, or what she is used to, or what we've seen from her doing on a hit TV show, Love and Hip Hop. But it's like, what else do you kind of expect? And that's kind of all, I think women are allowed to talk about and how they would get their hit songs and, make millions. Because if we talk about anything else, like staying woke or Black Lives Matter or whatever, kind of social culture issues. It's like, no one wants to hear that. Let's be honest. We want to hear something we can jam to in a car when we're going to the club with our homegirls or, in the club in general. Like, let's be realistic here. So,
yeah. All right. Well, you are on a roll there. I almost hated to interrupt you, but I do have to. I have to give the other participants the opportunity to answer as well. And I'm excited. I can't wait till we have our whole panel discussion. So now we're going to hear from Nicole. And Nicole, you can go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. So I definitely think that Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are erotic, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I love it. Like Taylor Parker said, it's a way for us women to relate to expressing how we feel in a rap song, sexually or, physically or emotionally. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm a firm believer of teach his own. If you like it, I love it. But they do it to arouse a sexual feeling. So no, I wouldn't let my kids watch Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B perform or listen to their music, but I'm an adult, and my friends are adults, and we, all of us have experienced, some type of sexual arousal before in our lives. So I don't think there's anything wrong with, them being able to express themselves lyrically and performing it. I mean, it's entertainment. Pure entertainment, and if that's what they like to do at home, so be it. But I definitely think they are very erotic.
All right, so now we're going to hear from Taylor Smith. And Taylor, you can go ahead.
Okay, both ladies touched on points that I feel, I feel the same way about. Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B are both big entertainers right now. And I think that they are paving the way and kind of embracing some topics and some styles that some female rappers have or some female musicians have in the past. I believe that they are, if I had to choose one between exotic and erotic, I suppose I would say exotic, just to mean that they're performing in a sexual way, and in a suggestive way sometimes. But I don't think it's X-rated. I would say that, like Nikki said, I think that we kind of have to stop trying to force women into this perfect role model all the time. I know that Cardi and Megan have said to people on their social media that I'm not trying to be a role model to your 8-year-old. I'm trying to entertain in the way that I do. I'm an adult. I think for a long time we have entertained in a way that society expected us to as women and as Black women. But I think of it as women reclaiming their sexual agency that has been taken away from them for so long. And I'm really, really excited to see that, because I think for too long, we have seen kind of the thumb of society pushed against women and Black women. And I'm really excited to see these women kind of expressing themselves and saying, I own my sexuality. It's not for you to regulate men. It's not for you to regulate parents. It's not for you to regulate society. And when I say that, I don't mean, just acting recklessly. I just mean, saying this is my body and I am no longer allowing only someone else to tell me what to do with it, what to say about it, how to show it. I am really glad that we're able to kind of have this discussion about women's sexual agency and not being kind of hushed and silenced, because I think that that is a really dangerous concept that we've been experiencing for too long.
Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. And that is a little bit different than what I was thinking about when I heard it and when I saw. And did all of you all see their performances on the Grammy Awards?
Yeah,
I did.
Okay, or at least you've seen their performances.
I've seen a little clip of the Grammys.
Okay.
And it was kind of wild, but you know, like you said, like Nikki was saying, this is not a performance for 8-year-olds. And I have this opinion, and I feel very strongly about it. But my parents didn't even let me listen to rap music when I was a young child. I only listened to Disney Channel until I got to probably middle school. But I think that that's the beautiful thing now. You know, it's not to say, I don't judge, of course, but it's not to say, okay, well, you know, this person feels this way, and so they must have grown up like this. I think that we are getting to an age as millennials, and just, you know, learning about people and being exposed to more, we can understand different walks of life and appreciate different things without trying to box anybody in. You know, I appreciate other people's lifestyles, even if I don't live them myself. And so I think that that's really important.
Yeah, sure. Now, Taylor Morton, it's so funny because I have to say this. We have 3 Taylors, and I don't know and Taylor Parker, you're how old?
I'm 22.
All right. And then Taylor Smith, you're how old?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I'm 29. Okay.
And Nicole, you're how old?
Last time I checked, I was 36.
Okay. And so I'm glad that we have this span of ages. And Taylor Morton is 26. And Taylor, what do you think about Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion?
I kind of agree with everything that's said. I feel like at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like, to each is their own, and they are entertainers. That's what they do. And some of these celebrities and musicians, sometimes they actually just do these things to get a reaction out of people. So I feel like we can't really judge the individuals based off of that. We can't be like, oh, Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion are this type of way because they performed this type of way on TV. I feel like it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's entertainment, and they know that people like this. They know that women, a lot of women can relate. I think what really needs to be talked about, though, is just the double standard between men and women, because it's like nobody was reacting this way back in the 90s and stuff. I mean, the rap music that men talk about, the things they talk about it's ridiculous. It's terrible. Like the way they talk about women, the way they you know, like they objectify, like all the things in their lyrics and the things that they say about us. Nobody was sitting on platforms discussing like, oh, was Biggie wrong for saying this? Was Jay-Z wrong for saying that? Is Lil Wayne, like nobody questions men, but as soon as women do something, it's like, oh my goodness, like, you know, and like I said, it's just like, if you don't want, if that's not your thing, don't watch it. If you don't want your kids to see it, don't show it to them. But it's one of those things where it's like, we can't really judge those people based off of it because they're entertainers, and it really doesn't say anything about their personal lives or what they do. Like, you know, because Cardi B, like if you ever follow her on social media, she's really funny and she's actually pretty intelligent. It's just that her image and her brand is what she's putting out there. So sometimes people have to kind of put out what their brand is to market and to make them money. But I don't think it's always a good thing to like judge them.
Why is that the brand? I guess the brand is sex sell. Is that what the brand is? Or and Taylor Smith, I do like what you said about having agency and for women taking control of this sexual agency and being able to say, this is who I am, and why is everybody saying anything? And I understand that, and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, and then maybe it's just because I'm old, you know, or as I think, but to just flaunt yourself, to me, it's like, what are you selling? What is it that what do you all think the message is that they're trying to convey? And anybody can.
So I grew up in like the 90s rap, and I mean, look at Lil' Kim. She did the exact same thing. Lil' Kim was no different than Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion. She just didn't have a big booty and big boobs like they do, which I think adds to it, it makes it look a little bit worse. But Little Kim's CDs were just as bad as WAP. And people have bad things to say about it. They were like, oh my God, I can't believe she came out with a CD talking about the things that she's talking about. But at the end of the day, it is sex. They are selling sex. That is how they attract people is sex. I mean, that's, one of the most popular things in the world. Everybody is talking about sex. So that is their brand. It might not define them as a person, but for somebody like Cardi B, like Taylor Morton said, she was a stripper in her past life. That's how she made a lot of her money. And she was selling a fantasy with sex. So that's exactly what she's doing through her music. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And it's like anything else in the world. Some people love jazz music and some people like rap music. If you don't like rap, don't listen to it. If you don't like jazz, don't listen to it. But essentially, it's your preference at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I understand that. And I know that you all are saying that if people don't want to listen to it, that they shouldn't. But so many teenagers are seeing this type of thing, and they're thinking, okay, well, the big boobs, do I need to try to get big boobs, a big high? Do you all think that that's something that really should be out there for young women to see and to try to emulate? Or again, is it basically just to each his own? If you like it, you like it. And they don't have to have a responsibility. Ultimately, I think parents, that's their responsibility to keep up with what their kids look at. But do you think, though, that what they're portraying is somehow having an impact on our young women, though? I mean, I understand about the agency and the sexual license and all of that, but how much of that is really getting into the heads of our young women, and how important is that at the end of the day?
I feel
Go ahead.
Uh-huh. Oh, I feel now, especially with everyone just, getting surgery with the BBLs and their tummy tucks and, getting their chest enhancement, that does have an effect on a lot of people. Because I know, friends around me who are going to consultations now, and all of a sudden they're scheduling surgeries. Like my friend was supposed to have one next month sometime. Like it is, because these Instagram models and people like Cardi B and, Megan, I don't think Megan had any work done on her, but don't quote me. It's like kind of now, this is what we want to look like. In order to look like this is how I attract men, because we're not doing it for ourselves. We get our hair done, to attract men. We get our nails done to attract men. We're not doing this for ourselves. And of course you won't be happy with yourself, especially if you see men only seeking out these kind of same looking, fair tone, light skinned, and very ambiguous women. So it does in a way have an effect on the kids, but you have to instill in your kids at a young age, you are fine the way you are. You're pretty. You don't let anyone tell you anything different. If they do, they're haters, or whatever you have to say to instill in your kids. Love the skin that you're in. Don't try to go bleach your skin and stuff like that. So you really have to instill that in your kids at a young age. And you also have to remember, once your kids leave your house and go to school, they will have people there. If they weren't going to see WAP at the house on YouTube, they were going to go see it at lunchtime on YouTube. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, if I could tell you not to watch it, but you're going to do what you want to do at the end of the day as a child. We all have done it. We all like, yeah, my parents don't let me listen to cussing music in the house. I'm 22, but when in my car, I blast my trap music. So it's like, you kind of have to realize, once you leave the house, it's on your child, or you at the end of the day. But it's kind of like, you kind of can't not be from around it, because it's like, it's always in your face too. So
yeah.
That's true.
And I definitely think that it has an effect on us. And to be honest, at my age, I have a lot of guy friends, and they're like, they really don't want a girl with a big booty. They don't want a girl with big boobs. It's a fantasy that the entertainment world and social media and the internet is now selling. Men don't care what our hair look like in real life. They want one thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
It ain't on our head. At the end of the day, I mean, I will be it's so serious. Like, I have had so many men tell me, like, I don't care what your hair look like, or I don't care if you got a big booty like Cardi B, but it's a fantasy. They like to look at it. It's there. If Cardi B came up to one of the guys that I know, they'll probably be like, oh, your butt too big for me. I don't want nothing to do with that.
Yep.
So it does affect the young girls, but just like Taylor Parker said, it starts at home. And at the end of the day, once they leave that nest, they're going to do what they want to do regardless. Whatever you say, whatever you taught them. I'm sure Cardi B's mom was not like, go out and be a stripper when you grow up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like whatever they want to do when they leave, whether it's in high school, college, when they're grown, they're going to do what they want to do because they can make their own decisions. But it does start at home. And sorry, Taylor, I'm going to let you go because I cut you off.
Oh, me?
Yes, you, Taylor.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, like you all said, I agree with a lot of points that you both said. Yeah, it is hard to, basically exactly what you said. It is hard to control what your children see once they leave the home. And I think that these ideals and these different body types and things, they have always existed, and I think that they always will. And it's hard to tell, you know, how they'll evolve as time goes on. But, you know, society liked really skinny women for a long time. Society didn't pay any attention to Black women for a long time. And then, you know, Marilyn Monroe comes along and we like women a little bit more voluptuous. And then Kim Kardashian comes along and, okay, we like women a lot more voluptuous. But these things I don't think are so specific to the Black community. Some of them are, definitely. And some of them are just the way that society has kind of put these ideals on women. And I think that that'll always happen. But you have so many different women in front of us right now, you know, politicians and musicians and, you know, people involved in movies and people involved in so many different pieces of life that we were not thought about for 10, 20 years ago, 5 years ago. And I really think that we have so many different role models now for so many different things that you kind of just have to, you know, pay attention to what you would like to do. I don't think that any one group of people should kind of decide what the rest of that group of people should act like. And so, yeah, I think that we just have to kind of have this balance of what we really want. And I think that, you know, even for people who are blonde haired and blue eyed, the people in the magazines, they see people who don't, you know, they want to tweak their nose or maybe bleach their hair a little bit. You know, it's extreme when you go to like Brazilian butt lifts and breast augmentations sometimes, for sure. But you know, those little things exist in so many parts of life. I think it's hard to step away from that.
Yeah, you know, I really appreciate your perspectives because I like how grounded all of you are. Because basically what you're saying is you're not really going to let what you see influence you that much, and that it is entertainment, you know, and that's the thing that people have to understand, that they're doing it for either shock value, they're doing it because it sells records or it draws audiences. But I think I like what you all were saying. Really, at the end of the day, it's about knowing who you are. And if you're a parent, you have to teach your children, you know, proper values and things of that sort, so that when they see things like that, they're not just thinking that's just the way it's supposed to be. But if you do want to do that, you know that that's just something you wanted to do and not because you felt like you were influenced into it in any kind of a way. I just, you know, from the era that I was brought up in, you know, we're instilled with this ladylikeness. You have to be ladylike. You don't go out there and show your butt. You don't go out there and do this and that. But I do think that it's important for women to take ownership of themselves and what they are doing and their own sexuality, not to flaunt it though. I think there's a difference. It's a difference between knowing and understanding who you are as a woman and showing your femininity and having license to do that. And another thing, believing that you have to do that in order to attract men. Taylor Morton, you have anything else you want to say to these young ladies or anything, any perspectives that you have, Miss Co-host?
I think they were all great points. Like you said, I think everybody's pretty grounded. And I also think the older you get, the more you can look at those things and not take away things about yourself or how you have to be based on what you're consuming. And like I said, I didn't even watch the full performance. I saw clips of it. I was like, oh, okay, like they're out here. But like I said, it's I think everything is like it's based off of that individual. So like I said, like if you weren't raised, everything kind of goes back to how you're raised and what's instilled in you. And then when you get older, you learn more about self and your identity and who you are. So the more you see those type of things, they don't really affect you that much because you're like, that's that own person's prerogative.
Yeah.
I don't really, so.
Well, I really enjoyed everything that you all are saying. We're coming to the end of, but I just have to look though at these lyrics. Sometimes I was wondering, like, what was she thinking about when she wrote this? But okay. She says, I said certified freak, 7 days a week, wet ass, make that pull out game weak. I'm just picturing her like if she's sitting at her kitchen table, like writing this out, like, yeah, you effing with some wet ass, yeah. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass. And so I'm just like, you know what? She's making way more money than I probably ever see in my life. But I'm just like, had I known that I could just write this stuff,
yeah,
table right now, writing some of that. But I guess I don't have the full package or any of that. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you, she took something that she was good at. She was a pole dancer or whatever, and she made that work for her. And that though, I give that to her because she took what she had and she made that work. So I have to say hats off to her for that, because you know what, you do what you got to do, and you make what you got to make work for you.
I was like, this is just a side note, not that it matters, but Cardi B, all of them, most of them don't even write their music. And if we want to get technical, it's like men. She has a lot of men writers. So maybe we should be questioning them because they're writing this stuff anyway. Okay. Like, to be honest, and I actually, like, I have a lot of music friends. Cardi she writes really like none of her music. So it's like, if we're going to get technical with like, oh, why does she write? She doesn't even write it. They give it to her. They give her the demo. They're like, this fits your personality. And this is what you're going to sing. She's like, okay. But it's really these men with these foul lyrics, with these ideas. So
that's right.
I mean, like,
men.
I mean, that's always my favorite thing to do, but that's not good. There's good men. But
Nicole, I'm gonna go ahead and let you say what
sorry. I'm sorry, Nicole, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay. And then we're almost finished.
She was like, she's the first female rapper to go, I don't know, the is it platinum? She did more than platinum, like her first CD. So I mean, kudos to her. Like you said, she took something she was good at and she made a lot of money doing it. So kudos to her.
Yeah, and it's really her personality. Like she's just funny, and she's kind of authentic, and she kind of just says and does whatever she wants. Yeah. So I think that's why that adds to some of her success. Not that she's just a sex symbol. It's because she kind of like accepts that, like, this is who I am and this is what I'm gonna put out.
Now that's what I do like about her. It's a confidence that she carries. She has a confidence, and I do like that. I actually love that. I love women who are confident in themselves. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Did anybody have anything in closing they wanted to say? Anybody?
That was
I just wanted
I
to
can't
say
follow.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just real quick off of what Taylor Morton had said about men writing the lyrics. I think it was the song that, if you guys are familiar with the City Girls, that song "Act Up." I think
I
it
was just
like
gonna
Lil
say,
Yachty.
Lil Yachty wrote it.
Whole male rapper, like.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's like, no, well, but when that came out, they was, it was kind of some, flare up in on, like the shade room, or whatever. They was like kind of like side eyeing him, but like they would have never, they still didn't like, male rappers didn't side eye Lil Uzi like, what did you just say? But when all I had to do was say it, I didn't write it down. I just said it out my mouth, and it's just like, how dare you? Like, don't you ever say what I like? Like,
right.
Don't you ever express what I like?
Right. And to your point, I think that like Nikki was talking about earlier, Little Kim, and this 90s era where you really couldn't it was less widespread. But now we have all of these female rappers. We have Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion and City Girls and Flo Milli, all these women who are just so bold with what they perform, even if they don't write it, with what they perform. And it makes me excited because, they're no longer kind of just, oh, he broke my heart. And there's nothing wrong with R&B, but like now we're like, really just kind of what I was saying before, taking agency, telling people exactly how we feel, exactly what they're doing. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing.
Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate all of your responses and everything that you had to say. Thank you so much again. Well, Taylor, what did you think about that? I always go away after talking to you young people with a different perspective. I mean, I went into this thinking, oh, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion need to sit down and stop shaking their behind. But you all really made me see that, you know what? These are women who are just taking control of their lives and ownership and license and of everything that they do. Because like I was saying before, when I was coming up, the women were always in the background on the videos, shaking their behinds, and everybody wanted to be in a music video, but nobody knew who those women were. And so Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, they are pushed themselves to the forefront and said, look, if this is what's selling, I'm going to get some of this money. Okay. If I'm going to shake my behind, I'm going to get some money for this.
Exactly.
And so, and they have taken control of their lives, and they have a sense of purpose, So what do you think about that?
I think, everybody had really good points, and it really, like you said earlier, like everybody's pretty grounded about, like not judging them for doing what they're doing. Because when you think about it, these types of things have always been going on. But like you said, it's just you didn't always put a face to a name. Like, I mean, even in like the 20s, there were flappers, there were women still kind of half naked. It was just in a different way. So it's like these type of things have been happening. It just wasn't a face to a name. And even back then, it's like it was entertainment. So it's just like these type of things, it's been going on for a while. So I think it's like women should be able to do whatever they want without feeling judged for it, whether that's wrong, or right. But I think it's like social media for younger girls, these things do have influence, but I think there's also a lot of great women on that platform that utilize it to really empower women in different ways. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Taylor Morton, for being my co-host this week. And if you like this show, please make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel. And please make sure that you catch us for another episode of Public Opinion, because everybody's entitled to their own opinion.